Military trophies have always attracted attention, but captured combat vehicles are of special interest. The Second World War left behind numerous examples of one army using equipment created by the enemy. Captured tanks, self-propelled guns, armored vehicles. All of these were not just trophies, but a fighting force that could change the course of battles. Today, we'll talk about why captured vehicles are so interesting to modelers. Why do they look more striking than standard paint schemes? How did armies adapt enemy machines to their own needs? And what scale models can be assembled to convey this unique history? You're on the Scale Art Lab channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And here we go. First, unusual color schemes and markings. Captured vehicles were often repainted in the colors of the army that used them. Sometimes they followed standard camouflage patterns, but often they featured improvised solutions. German crosses over Soviet green or American stars on former Japanese tanks. This gives modelers plenty of creative opportunities. Second, modifications and upgrades. Armies adapted captured equipment to suit their needs, changing armament, adding extra fuel tanks, armor, or even new turrets. For example, German captured Soviet T-34s were sometimes fitted with commanders' cupolas from Panthers, while British Matildas seized in Africa could receive German radios and additional weaponry. Another key aspect is unique historical stories. Every captured vehicle is a witness to war with its own biography. Some tanks changed hands multiple times, serving in different armies and campaigns. For modelers, this is an opportunity to recreate a real historical artifact in miniature. For a modeler, an important aspect of captured vehicles is that they always stand out and attract more attention compared to their standard counterparts. Take a Panther tank, for example. Even if it is assembled and painted to perfection, it will still be just one among many similar models. But a captured Panther? That's a different story. A model like that instantly grabs attention, making people want to examine it more closely, spot the unique details, and learn its history. Some might even be intrigued enough to look up the real vehicle's story, diving into historical records or reading about it on Wikipedia. This is the extra charm of captured vehicles. They spark curiosity, invite discussion, and engage the audience on a deeper level. The Soviet Union used captured equipment both in combat and in the rear. Captured German tanks were often repaired, repainted, and sent back into battle. Additionally, studying captured vehicles helped improve Soviet designs. Germany made extensive use of captured equipment from the USSR, France, Britain, and other countries. Soviet T-34s and KV-1s were incorporated into the Wehrmacht, often with added German markings. French tanks were widely used in occupied territories and for training purposes. The Allies, USA, UK, rarely used captured vehicles in combat, but studied their designs. Captured German tanks and aircraft were tested extensively, with some even making their way into museums and military proving grounds. Throughout military history, there have been many unusual cases of using captured equipment. However, one of the biggest risks of employing trophy vehicles was friendly fire, when troops mistakenly attacked their own machines, thinking they belonged to the enemy. Such incidents were particularly widespread during Operation Citadel at the Battle of Kursk in 1943. The German army heavily relied on captured T-34 tanks, forming entire battalions of Soviet vehicles. For instance, the 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkopf included whole companies of repainted and rebranded T-34s with German markings. However, in the chaos of battle, distinguishing friend from foe was difficult. Soviet troops often fired upon their own tanks, failing to recognize the German modifications. This led to significant losses due to friendly fire and highlighted the risks of using enemy vehicles on the battlefield. Captured equipment was not limited to the European theater of war. For example, the Japanese army seized a number of American M3 Stuart tanks during World War II. In December 1941, after invading the Philippines, Japanese forces encountered American and Filipino units equipped with M3 Stuart tanks. During the battles, they managed to capture several operational vehicles, as well as damaged ones that could later be repaired. Some of these captured M3 Stuarts were used by the Japanese in combat against American forces and Filipino guerrillas. Similar cases occurred in Burma, where Japanese troops, fighting against British and Indian forces, also captured M3 Stuart tanks, previously used by the British Army. The Japanese repurposed these captured tanks not only for combat, but also for training, using them to prepare crews and study enemy tactics. Although the M3 Stuart did not have a major impact on Japanese armored forces, a thorough analysis of the vehicle allowed Japanese engineers to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of American tanks, knowledge that was later applied in the development of their own armored vehicles. Trophies are not limited to tanks. Sometimes, entire warships fell into the hands of the victors. One of the most notable examples was the Prinz Eugen, a heavy cruiser of the Kriegsmarine, which was handed over to the United States as a war prize after Germany's surrender in 1945. The Americans studied its design in detail, focusing on its advanced fire control system and unique low-cavitation propellers, technology that later influenced the development of U.S. warships. In 1946, Prinz Eugen took part in Operation Crossroads, a series of nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll. It survived the first aerial nuclear detonation, Able, but suffered severe damage during the underwater explosion Baker. Due to radiation exposure, the crew was unable to prevent flooding, and a few months later, the cruiser sank near Kwajalein Atoll. Of course, aviation was also among the captured war trophies. However, it is worth noting that there were fewer captured aircraft compared to ground vehicles or naval vessels, as seizing an aircraft was technically much more difficult. Still, planes were captured and sometimes even served their former enemies. Soviet forces managed to seize German aircraft both in the air and on the ground. One of the most notable examples was the use of the Focke-Wulf FW-190. These fighters were carefully studied, and some were even used in combat, sometimes in special units that could shoot down German bombers without raising suspicion. Another important trophy was the Messerschmitt Bf-109, which was extensively tested by Soviet aviation research institutes. Soviet engineers compared them to their own aircraft, analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of German aviation. The Germans also made extensive use of captured aircraft. They acquired a significant number of Supermarine Spitfires and P-51 Mustangs, which were used for pilot training and technical research. One of the most unusual examples was the use of B-17 Flying Fortress bombers. Captured B-17s were repainted and used for covert operations, and in some cases, even for sabotage missions. The Americans and British were also interested in captured aircraft, particularly the Mitsubishi A6M0. In 1942, the U.S. managed to recover an almost intact Zero, allowing them to identify its weaknesses and develop counter-tactics. After the war, the U.S. also tested several captured Messerschmitt Me-262 jet fighters, Heinkel, He-162, and other German aircraft. Some of the technologies from these planes later influenced the design of early American jet fighters. Captured aircraft were not just studied, they shaped the future of aviation. Engineers learned valuable lessons, pilots refined their tactics, and in some cases, captured planes even saw combat under a new flag. History has shown that a single captured aircraft could change the balance of power in the skies. Among the trophies were truly unique specimens. The Soviet flying boat that you see now fell into the hands of the Finns. Or, for example, one based on the T-34 tank, equipped with a 4-barrel, 2-centimeter Flak-Vierling 3 anti-aircraft gun. Former Estonian tanks of English construction Mark V in Berlin's Lustgarten Park. The building of the old museum, Altes Museum, is visible in the background. These tanks, rearmed with Maxim machine guns, took part in the defense of Tallinn in 1941, were captured by the Germans and transported to Berlin for an exhibition of trophies. In April 1945, they presumably took part in the defense of Berlin. Of course, there are many photos of captured equipment, and it's impossible to fit everything into one video. If you like the video, I could make separate ones focusing on specific models of equipment in more detail. One unique feature of captured equipment is that almost all of it, if not photographed, was documented. This means the units it served in are known, its combat path is known, and often the names of the crew members are known. This is valuable both from a historical and a modeling perspective, as we, modelers, can recreate a historical episode with great accuracy. Not just an unknown tank with an unknown crew, but a specific tank with specific names. Yes, of course, among non-captured equipment, there are also known vehicles and crews, but there are far fewer of them than captured ones. In the case of standard, non-captured tanks, the crew only became known if they distinguished themselves significantly. But with captured vehicles, it's different. The crews were proud of the captured tanks and used them for propaganda. That's why almost every one of them is famous. Now let's move on to scale models of trophy vehicles. It so happens that almost all models of vehicles are presented in different scales. Most of them are in basic colors, but there are also many models that are initially positioned as trophy models. Tamiya has a gorgeous set, a trophy German car with 4 figures of Soviet officers. I found out about its existence only when preparing for this video, and now it is on my wish list. About it, by the way, will be told more. Finnish assault gun on the basis of a captured BT-7. The AFV Club has a rather interesting trophy, German truck of General Rommel's trophy truck. Mini Art offers a not insignificant amount of trophy equipment. Let's start with Japanese trophy M3 Stuart. This set is in development at Mini Art. It is announced to be released this year. So, we are looking forward to it. Trophy Soviet Su-85 with a German crew. German artillery tractor T-60. Bergepanzer T-60, an extremely interesting engineering machine, most likely that the Germans did the modifications after they captured the tank. Captured Soviet truck converted for railway use. By the way, I have this kit in my collection, and it's patiently waiting for its turn to be built. And absolutely the best, in my opinion, trophy set from Mini Art is a field workshop based on a Soviet bus. A set with a full set of tools and equipment. Compressor, cylinder, machines, wooden ladder. Perfect set. But I still bought the previous truck. You know why not this one? Because Mini Art, for some unknown reason, took it out of production, although the rest of the line of trucks and buses Gaz left. It's very unclear why. Trumpeter has 2 kits, German KV-1 and KV-2 inexpensive Chinese kits with good quality. Hobby Boss releases trophy tractor T20 Komsomolets. This is the kit I used in my diorama. Same story as with Trumpeter, Chinese inexpensive with not bad quality. Dragon and ICM have trophy T-34s. In addition, ICM has a trophy Studebaker in service with the Wehrmacht. This is probably not a complete list of captured vehicles, so if I missed something, let me know in the comments. As you can see, almost any model can be turned into a captured version with just a few simple modifications, changing the paint scheme and adding the right decals. Most model manufacturers produce standard versions of well-known combat vehicles, making it easy to recreate their captured counterparts. The same goes for aviation. During the preparation of materials for the video, I was unable to find ready-made trophy aviation kits. But, as already mentioned, it can be obtained with your own hands. Here is an example, and the algorithm of actions. Study archival photos. This will help to pick up historically accurate coloring. Use alternative decals. Many manufacturers produce sets with markings of trophy equipment. Add homemade elements. For example, improvised onboard numbers, or even trophy personal inscriptions of the crews. As a result, you will have a unique piece in your collection that will stand out on the shelf. Why should you try building a captured model? Captured military vehicles aren't just machines with unusual paint schemes. They are pieces of history. Each one has a story behind it, often involving intense battles, acts of bravery, and, unfortunately, human sacrifice. Unlike standard production vehicles, captured tanks and aircraft were usually taken in combat, and their crews often fought to the very end. When building such a model, it's important to remember that it represents more than just an interesting look. It is a historical artifact that deserves respect. Moreover, captured vehicles were rarely left in their original condition. They were often heavily worn, hastily repainted, with hand-drawn identification markings, chipped paint, and battle scars. This presents an exciting challenge for modelers who enjoy weathering effects, paint chipping, rust simulation, and making battle-worn vehicles look authentic. If you love creating aged and battle-hardened machines, captured models are the perfect canvas for honing your skills. Building such a model not only enhances your painting and weathering techniques, but also provides an opportunity to connect with history. It allows you to gain a deeper understanding of past events and see military hardware from a unique and thought-provoking perspective. Third place goes to the captured T-34. This legendary tank is fascinating, both in its original Soviet version and as a German war trophy. The German modified versions are especially intriguing due to additional features like side-mounted armored skirts, a commander's cupola, and unique camouflage schemes with German markings. The T-34 was used so extensively by the Wehrmacht that choosing a specific version is easy, especially given the wide variety of kits available on the market. Second place is taken by the M26 Dragon Wagon with a captured Panther. This massive recovery vehicle is impressive on its own, but even more so when transporting a German Panther tank. There are two exciting versions, one as a standalone recovery tractor and another with a trailer carrying the captured Panther. Both versions are produced by Tamiya, and either one would make an outstanding display piece. Finally, first place goes to the captured Soviet Panzer Kampfwagen 3 from a dedicated unit of captured tanks. This particular version is based on a real historical photograph taken in March 1942, during one of the most difficult periods for the Soviet Union in World War II. At a time when the Red Army was struggling to hold back the powerful German offensive, Soviet soldiers managed to seize a significant number of German armored vehicles, forming special units equipped with them. If I ever get around to this project, this tank will definitely have a place of honor on my shelf. Now it's your turn. Share your own top 3 captured vehicle model kits in the comments. Or maybe your list is even longer, top 5 or even top 10. Either way, I'd love to see which vehicles interest you the most. Which captured vehicle would you like to build the most? Maybe you already have one in your collection? Feel free to share your thoughts. With that, this video is coming to an end. If you found it useful and interesting, don't forget to leave a like and comment below. That way, I'll know that you enjoy these kinds of videos and that I should make more of them. Researching and gathering materials took a lot of time and effort, so your support through likes and comments would be the best reward. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you next time.